3 spine-chilling true stories of sinister home intrusions, secrets revealed, fear exposed. The Johnson family thought they had found their sanctuary. In their cozy 2-story home in a quiet Ohio suburb, laughter echoed through the walls, the scent of fresh cookies wafted from the kitchen, and the porch light flickered gently on warm summer nights. But that sanctuary began to crumble on a stormy evening, thunder growling like a beast outside, as Lisa's phone buzzed with a chilling text from Mark. "I'm watching you." Her heart raced. The message didn't sound like him. A knot twisted in her gut, and dread seeped into her bones. With the storm raging louder, Lisa paced their living room, the familiar surroundings morphing into an unsettling maze. Family portraits hung crookedly, as if something or someone had knocked them askew. Shadows danced ominously on the walls, taunting her with the promise of something lurking just beyond her vision. Outside, Mr. Thompson, their benign neighbor, stood by the fence, peering into their yard with an unsettling intensity. Why was he there? His usual friendly demeanor replaced by vague, suspicious lingering. The lights flickered again and dimmed, each pulse like a heartbeat, amplifying Lisa's unease. She grabbed her phone, and just as panic crept up her spine, it rang. Mark's name lit up the screen. His voice trembled, cutting through the darkness. "I got let go early. I'm on my way home." Relief washed over her momentarily. But as she looked outside, she noticed Mr. Thompson moving closer, his demeanor shifting to something menacing. "Can you hurry?" she urged, fear spilling out in shaky breaths. With each step he took, dread clawed at her heart. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The storm howled like a banshee outside, rain lashing against the windows, and things continued to spiral. Sarah and Ben, picking up on their mother's anxiety, huddled together, wide-eyed and silent. Then, a loud crash erupted from upstairs, a sound that shattered their fragile sense of safety. What was that? Lisa gasped, the air thick with terror as she gripped the backs of her children, heart racing in sync with the booming thunder. The phone died. No signal. Panic wrapped around Lisa's throat like a noose. The shadows loomed larger now, feeling alive, as if they were trying to swallow her whole. She snatched the flashlight and headed for the stairs, each step weighed down by an invisible force. Every creak beneath her feet fanned her dread. As Mark arrived home, his instincts screamed that something was terribly wrong. The house was shrouded in desperate silence. He could sense an unsettling energy crackling through the air. Within moments, they were on the edge of confronting something unfathomable, a lurking darkness that had no intention of letting them go peacefully. What had they stumbled into? Was the evil residing in Mr. Thompson, or had it festered within the walls of their very home? Fear clutched at their throats, and just as they considered escaping into the storm, the ground trembled beneath them, shaking the very foundation of their sanctuary. With one last, heavy glance exchanged, they knew that whatever awaited them next would uncover secrets buried far darker than they ever imagined. The staircase loomed before Lisa, each step beckoning her into a vortex of dread. She held the flashlight tight, its beam struggling against the oppressive shadows. The children's whispers, once a source of comfort, felt like a haunting echo, amplifying her fear. "Stay close," she instructed, her voice a mere whisper against the cacophony of thunder as they ascended. The atmosphere felt thick like a fog wrapping around their very souls. The moment Lisa reached the top, the stark, desolate silence screamed louder than the storm. Shadows clung to every corner, and her mind raced with thoughts of what might lurk in the darkened spaces beyond her flashlight's glow. The door to her bedroom stood ajar, slightly swaying, as if something had just escaped. Lisa's heart hammered against her ribs. What could be in there? She breathed, hardly daring to voice the thought aloud. She glanced back at Sarah and Ben. Their eyes were wide, reflecting the beam of the flashlight and the terror etched into their small faces. Mark appeared at the bottom of the stairs, breathless and soaked. "Where are you?" he called, desperation in his voice. Lisa's pulse quickened. Each second felt stretched like the taut wire of a bow, ready to snap. "Mark," she yelled, her voice cracking. The children flinched at the intensity. She had to make a choice. Stay and confront whatever terror resided upstairs, or retreat and risk losing her entire family. She mustered her courage, forcing her feet forward as she pushed open the bedroom door, the creak echoing like a jury's verdict. The dark room loomed ahead, and shadows flickered like dancing phantoms, revealing nothing but endless fear. Suddenly, a loud crash resounded from the attic, sending Lisa stumbling backward. Adrenaline surged through her veins as they locked eyes, and she motioned for Mark to join them. "We need to go," she urged when Mark reached for the flashlight, his face twisted with confusion. They turned to flee when the temperature in the hall plummeted, a chill slicing through the air. "Behind you," Sarah screamed, her voice sharp with terror. Lisa turned and saw Mr. Thompson standing in the doorway. He was drenched, but it went beyond that. His eyes glinted with something feral. "You shouldn't have come upstairs," he said, the cadence of his voice unsettling, as if he was savoring their fear. Mark stepped protectively in front of them. "What do you want?" he demanded, trying to mask his terror. Mr. Thompson's smile was disconcerting, a crooked grin that revealed nothing but malevolence. "Just checking in on my neighbors," he replied, each word dripping with fake sweetness, yet laced with an underlying menace. "You've been so quiet. Almost too quiet." Lisa swallowed hard, her breath hitching. Was he here to help, or was he the actual monster of the night? She thought of the storm howling outside, the rain pounding down, blocking their screams from reaching the world. Each second felt like it stretched into eternity as they stood frozen. Then, without warning, the lights flickered and went out, plunging them into utter darkness. Moments stretched. Panic rose sharply, and Lisa's heart hammered a wild rhythm as she fumbled desperately for Mark's hand. "Get out," she hissed. That primal instinct to survive surged within her. They had to escape. The tempest outside no longer felt daunting compared to the threat closing in within their own home. "Where?" Mark's voice tremored, desperation hanging in the air. The silence that filled the house was thick and oppressive, broken only by the distant rumble of thunder. And then came a sound that chilled her to the bone, footsteps creeping closer. What would rise from the shadows? Was it already too late to flee? The question hung heavy in the air as fear wrapped around them like barbed wire, tightening with each breath they took. Footsteps echoed through the pitch-black hallway, each one a relentless heartbeat pounding in Lisa's ears. The chill intensified, and the air grew thick with unspeakable dread. She gripped Mark's hand, squeezing it like a lifeline, and turned to the kids. Their wide eyes reflected her terror, mirroring the frantic pulse of uncertainty. She whispered urgently, afraid that even the slightest noise would draw the darkness closer. The faintest rustle sent a shiver crawling down her spine, making the hairs on her neck stand on end. Mr. Thompson's low chuckle, malicious and intimate, floated through the hallway, wrapping around them like a strangling vine. "Don't be scared. I promise I won't bite," he taunted, his voice slithering into the silence. Lisa felt a wave of nausea hit her. They had to move. The three of them pressed against the wall, the dank wallpaper peeling away, the scent of mold, and something rancid tickling her nose. Mark started to step forward, but Lisa held him back, the light from the flashlight flickering, barely illuminating the path before them. Then came a louder thud from above, a sound that was painfully close. Panic breaths filled the small space, quick and sharp. Sarah whimpered, a sound that twisted Lisa's heart, and her grip tightened around her daughter's hand. Ben was shaking, staring terrified at the shadowy corner. "Where do we go?" Mark whispered, glancing back at the door, which now felt like the entrance to a dark abyss. "We can't go back down, not with him there." "Then we find a way out," Lisa hissed, fighting against the paralysis of fear gripping her limbs. They had to reach the living room. The thought of safety, even for a moment, flickered like a dying flame. "Through the window?" Ben suggested, the hope in his voice trembling. "Maybe," Lisa began, her mind racing, but then Mr. Thompson spoke again, his voice reverberating with twisted glee. "Don't you all want to stay and play? It's so much fun in the dark." Without thinking, Lisa yanked Mark and the kids down the narrow hallway towards the window. The storm beat angrily against the house, blinds rattling under the force. "Open the window," she urged, her voice a frantic whisper. Mark fumbled with the latch, his fingers slick from sweat and fear. She cast a glance over her shoulder. Shadowy shapes began to pool in the darkness, shifting, almost alive. Time felt warped, every second an eternity. Got it, Mark grunted, yanking the window open. The wind howled, an angry entity wanting to tear them apart. Climb out, Lisa ordered, pushing Sarah and Ben toward the opening. She felt a desperation she had never experienced. Mom, wait, Mark protested, eyes wide with worry. No, you have to go, she screamed, her own instincts screaming to protect them at all costs. They had to escape. Just go, I'll follow. Suddenly, the whispers surrounding them grew louder, an unholy chorus that mocked her resolve. They were almost out when Lisa felt a hand on her shoulder, icy and clammy, a grip that felt like death itself. She whirled around, heart racing, ready to confront the nightmare that had invaded her home. Then she froze, unable to scream. Mr. Thompson was right there, his twisted smile illuminated by a flicker of distant lightning, his eyes hungry and alive with an insatiable darkness. You think you can leave so easily? He grinned, inching closer, shadows swirling around him like a dark cloak. Time slowed, breath caught in her throat. And in that moment, Lisa knew this was just the beginning. Outside, the wind howled, as if warning of the chaos yet to come. What other horrors awaited them? Would they escape, or had they stepped into a far more sinister nightmare? The air was thick with the scent of decay, and Lisa's heart hammered in tandem with the pounding in her ears. The grip of Mr. Thompson's hand felt like a vice around her shoulder, chilling her to the bone. She noticed, with a kind of mounting despair, that the darkness around him seemed to breathe, expanding and contracting as if alive. Where do you think you're going, Lisa? He whispered, his breath a hot, sibilant hiss against her cheek. There's nowhere to run. Mark, still at the window, hesitated, fear rippling across his features. Mom, he called softly, not wanting to disturb the monster. Get the kids out, she screamed, desperation spilling from her like blood from an open wound. The sheer terror of losing them fueled her. She pushed against Mr. Thompson, but it was like trying to move a mountain. His chuckle was low and menacing, echoing like thunder in the silence. You'll find things I have in store for you, far more interesting than leaving. The shadows behind him wiggled, morphing into grotesque shapes that seemed to whisper her name, taunting her with promises of unspeakable horrors. She felt their chill creeping closer, wrapping around her. Let go of me, she demanded, her voice shaking but fierce. And at that moment, she made a choice. With a sudden burst of adrenaline, Lisa pulled free. She lunged toward the window, the cold air beckoning her with an almost seductive whisper, flirting with freedom. Go, she shouted again, her hand gripping Mark's wrist, trying to yank him towards the opening. Mom, you first, he urged, eyes wide and shaking. Just trust me, she yelled, her voice breaking with the strain. In her peripheral vision, she saw movement. The shadows jerked forward, hungry tendrils stretching out toward her. She couldn't let them catch her. Couldn't let them catch the kids. Go, she screamed, and Mark scrambled to push Ben and Sarah out. But just as he climbed through himself, Lisa felt the cold grip of Mr. Thompson's hand clamp down on her wrist again. Panic seized her, a raw terror that screamed for survival. She spun around, facing him. You think this is a game? She spat, seething with defiance. But his laughter only deepened, rumbling through the hallway like an earthquake building in ferocity. Oh, sweetheart, you have no idea how much I love playing. With a primal strength she didn't know she had, Lisa yanked her arm away, breaking his hold. She felt a surge of hope, almost intoxicating, as she dove toward the window. The storm flooded her senses, rain hammering against her skin. Jump! Mark's voice pierced through the din. Lisa felt the shadows reaching for her, clawing at her legs as she leaned out. Just one push, and she would be free, escaping into the storm where she hoped the dark would dissolve. But in that split second, the whispers became a cacophony of tortured spirits. Each one voiced their regrets, their fears. You can't escape, there's nowhere to hide. Mom, Ben cried, his voice frantic as he grasped her arm. She took a breath, forced her heart to still, and leapt. The wind met her like a slap, pulling her down into the chaos below. She expected to feel the ground, the rocks and grass, but only darkness swallowed her whole. And as she fell, she realized nothing was as it seemed. The impact I expected never came. Instead, a breathless moment hung in the air, twisted and wrong. It felt as if she had fallen into another world. The winds roared, but there was no ground beneath her. What had she awakened? Above, Mr. Thompson's silhouette stood proud against the window frame, shadows pooling around him, as he spoke with a voice that dripped malice. Every choice has a consequence, and you're only beginning to learn. Lisa's pulse raced. She had to find her children. But what awaited her in the darkness? The darkness enveloped her, a thick shroud cutting off her vision. Lisa felt weightless, suspended in some void beyond comprehension. Time stretched, distorted, until the shrill cries of her children pierced the silence, sending ice-cold dread coursing through her veins. "Mom!" The sound was frantic, echoing in the abyss like a desperate plea. She fought against the disorienting emptiness, reaching, grasping for anything solid. "Hold on," she shouted, but her voice felt weak, swallowed by the endless black. Then, the air shifted. A sharp gust sliced through the darkness, wrapping around her like an unseen hand. It tugged her, pulling her towards a light that flickered dimly ahead. Heart racing, she pushed forward, crawling and clawing, driven by the need to find her kids. She burst through the curtain of darkness and stumbled into a foggy landscape. Shadows danced in the corners of her vision, whispering her name, all while the light flickered ominously before her. It was pale and ghostly, illuminating a path littered with debris and broken dreams. "Mark? Ben? Sarah?" she called, her voice trembling. The fog thickened, curling around her like an oppressive blanket. Shadows flickered in the periphery, moving, stalking. And then she heard a soft whimpering, coming from somewhere close. "Mom, I'm coming," she yelled, her feet pounding against the cold ground as she pressed toward the sound. But the closer she got, the more the outcries seemed to twist, morphing into echoes of laughter or mocking, childlike giggle that chilled her blood. Her heart plummeted. "Let me see you," she shouted, frustration and fear intertwining. The fog began to swirl violently, revealing blurred figures in its depths. Lisa's chest tightened. She reached out, but they were just out of grasp, silent specters dissolving into nothingness as soon as she thought she was close. Lisa spun around, feeling trapped. "This isn't real. This is just a trick," she shouted, but it did little to quell the mounting panic. The whispers grew louder, swirling like a storm around her. Each one spoke of despair, of closure lost. "You'll never find them, they belong to him now who?" She gasped, eyes widening as fear ripped through her. In response, the shadows thickened, blocking her view of the light, and a figure emerged from the swirling mists. It was a grotesque caricature of Mr. Thompson, his features warped in the hazy, glow-hungry eyes fixed on her. "You've stepped into my domain, Lisa. Here, I am the master." The ground beneath her trembled as the darkness convulsed, tendrils rising like serpents ready to strike. Desperation clawed at her throat. "If you think I'll give up my children without a fight, you're wrong." Mr. Thompson's laughter echoed eerily, slithering through the fog. "Oh, Lisa, your courage is admirable, but you have no idea what you face." With a swift motion, he raised a hand, and the shadows darted forward, rushing at her, coiling around her limbs, stinging like ice. She gasped, fighting against the tightening grip. "No, I won't let you take them." Just as she felt the cold seeping into her bones, a new cry erupted in the distance, a scream filled with unrestrained terror. "Mom, no!" Lisa screamed, and with a primal scream of defiance, she tore through the shadows, pushing back against the horror that grasped her. The darkness shrieked, pulling away, but it wasn't enough. She could feel Mr. Thompson's cold laughter deep in the shadows. "Every choice comes with a cost, Lisa. Are you ready to pay?" The scream echoed once more, and dread filled her heart as she ran towards the sound, determined to save her children. But as she sprinted through the fog, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was running straight into a trap, and Mr. Thompson was waiting to seal their fate. Would she reach them in time? The answer loomed in the shadows, ready to unveil its dark truth. The fog clawed at Lisa as she rushed forward. Each step was heavy, the ground beneath seemingly alive, resisting her urgency. The whispers surged like a tide, drowning her thoughts with promises of despair. "They're here with me," the silky voice slithered through the mist, sending a shiver down her spine. "Shut up," she yelled, her voice shaking. She pressed on, driven by the fading echoes of her children's cries. "I won't let you have them." A flash of light appeared, blinding her momentarily. She squinted through the veil, heart pounding wildly in her chest. It flickered again, closer this time, pulsing like a heartbeat. Was it hope? Suddenly, a shriek split the air. "Mom! Help!" The voice was raw, desperate, clawing through the fog as if reaching for her. Lisa sprinted toward it, fear morphing into a primal rage. "I'm coming. I swear I'm coming." Then, out of the swirling gray, a figure stepped forward, a child, or what once was a child. It was Ben, his face contorted in terror, eyes wide with a hollowed despair. "Mom, please," he pleaded, but there was something off. His mouth moved, but no sound came out. Lisa's heart dropped into her stomach as she realized the truth. He was trapped, a reflection of her son, but not Ben as she knew him. "No, let him go." The darkness surged, forming a shape around Ben, a grotesque image of Mr. Thompson, grinning. "You see, Lisa? They are mine now, just as you will be." "No," Lisa screamed, fury igniting within her. She lunged forward, reaching for Ben, but the shadows twisted, snatching him away. The rest of the fog twisted, revealing faces, children with hollow eyes staring, mouths stretched in eternal screams. "Mom!" It was Sarah's voice, ringing out from the thickness of the mist. "Sarah, where are you? Help me." Hearts pounding in chaos, Lisa's adrenaline surged. She could feel Mr. Thompson's presence looming, a dark, oppressive weight suffocating her. The question stabbed through her. How do you fight a monster made of shadows? The fog thickened again, swirling with malice. Lisa squeezed her eyes shut, teeth clenched, trying to focus. "I have to think. What strength do you have against a creature that feeds on fear?" Then she remembered, out of desperation comes clarity. "You're nothing without my fear," she whispered to the darkness. "You can't own me." Mr. Thompson's laughter echoed, but it flickered, losing its bite. "Fear feeds me, Lisa. It's your essence. Then I'll starve you." Lisa screamed, throwing herself into the fog, fists clenched. The shadows lunged at her, but she didn't shrink back. In her mind, she felt warmth, memories of her children embracing her like a protective shield. "Leave us alone." She charged forward, her voice strong. The shadows recoiled slightly, the darkness shimmering like a thin surface of ice cracking under pressure. The air around her vibrated. "This is your last chance, Lisa," Mr. Thompson threatened, his voice low, guttural. "Will you abandon them now?" She felt the weight of despair clashing within her. Could she risk shattering her spirit to save them? A heartbeat of silence. "Never," she replied fiercely, and with that declaration, the shadows around her cracked open, revealing a path framed by faint, flickering light. The cries of her children grew clearer now, calling for her through the distance. "Mom, we need you. Keep calling for me," she howled, tearing through the fog as the dark shrieked behind her. The shadows buffeted her, stinging her resolve, but she felt the warmth growing, an unquenchable fire igniting her spirit. Footsteps echoed from somewhere beyond, those thin lines of light beckoning her closer to her fate. Was it a trick, a final test before the end? But as she raced forward, twisting and turning, a new sound filled her ears, Mr. Thompson's voice slithering through the air, chilling and taunting. "Time is running out, Lisa. The deeper you go, the harder it will be to come back." Just as she crossed another threshold into the light, a horrifying realization met her. The shadows were not just chasing her down, they were waiting to consume her children, ready to take everything in their wake. Lisa knew that the true horror was not just facing the shadows, it was what she might have to sacrifice in the end. Would she make the ultimate choice to save her children, or risk it all to fight back? The fog thickened as a sinister laugh reverberated around her, leaving her with the most chilling question of all. What is the price of love in the grip of darkness? The light enveloped her, bathing her in warmth, but it was fleeting. The laughter of Mr. Thompson spiraled around her, echoing through the space like dark oil slicking a calm sea. She pushed onward, the path ahead shrinking as the shadows twisted back. "No, I'm not afraid," she shouted, though her voice trembled. Then another shriek pierced the air, sharper this time. "Mom!" It was Sarah again, her voice slicing through the thickness like a blade. Each call scraped against Lisa's resolve, binding her heart to the fear that wrapped around her like fog. "Stay with me. I'm coming." She clawed forward, a desperate mother fighting against the weight of the world. The flickering light waned, replaced by the darkness threatening to pull her under. Moments rolled like tidal waves, each one crashing against her spirit. She could hear the sound of small, scuttling feet around her, shadows darting just beyond sight, peeking from the veil. "What are you?" she whispered, heart hammering. A rustle brushed against her skin, cold and clammy, fueling her fear. "Just your worst nightmares, Mommy," a child's voice echoed, tainted and wrong. It wrapped around her like fingers sinking into her flesh. "No, stay away." She stumbled back, her knees buckling as her voice echoed against the walls of darkness. Suddenly, a blur rushed by her. For a brief second, she thought she glimpsed Ben, his blue shirt faded and ragged, his terrified eyes pleading. She blinked, and he vanished. "Where are you, Ben?" Panic sliced through her heart, stretching it thin. "Mom, run!" Sarah's warning urged her into action. And finally, in that moment of clarity, she let the memories of laughter, love, and joy fill her mind. Each precious moment was a weapon, each smile a shield against the encroaching darkness. With renewed determination, she charged forward, the path narrowing and closing in as shadows lunged toward her, mouths yawning wide, filled with silence. They were hungry, hungry for her despair. "Get away from my kids." The words roared inside her, echoing back to her, inflating her fury like a balloon about to burst. The darkness hissed, mist curling away. She reached an open space, lit dimly by a glow what appeared to be a faint figure. Could it be them? "Mom, over here." It was a chorus of shouts, now her children's laughter weaving through the fog, drawing her closer. "Wait," she called, feeling the shadows close in behind her. "I'm coming." Just as she picked up speed, a surge of darkness erupted around her. Mr. Thompson's looming figure reappeared, grotesque and swirling with shadows, tempting her away from her children. His smile was wide, teeth sharp. "You can't save them, Lisa. You are too late. I won't let you take them." Her fists balled at her sides as fury propelled her forward. The glow intensified, revealing more than she bargained for. Figures were trapped. Children's faces merged into grotesque masks, crying silently, stretching cold fingers toward her. "This is for you, Lisa," Mr. Thompson hissed, eyes glinting with malevolence. "You'll have to choose, your light or your darkness." The flurry intensified, the spirits swirling around like leaves caught in a cyclone. The weight of choice hung heavily in the air, unbearable. Could she fight? Could she save them both? The shadows lunged, and dread filled her. "Lisa." Sarah's voice was high-pitched with terror. "Don't listen. Come back." The flickering light began to pulse more violently, almost like a heartbeat. A warmth reached her, but it was fleeting, slipping away like sand through her fingers. She had to choose, and the darkness offered a sinister promise. Safety, peace, blissful ignorance. But surrendering was not an option. She wouldn't allow the darkness to take them. "Help me," Sarah screamed, rushing forward to the light, shaking Lisa from her torment. But Lisa felt weightless, trapped in a limbo of choice and panic. "Mom," came the echo again, but the voices started to blend in a chorus of cries, twisted like a chilling lullaby. There it was again, the tendril of Mr. Thompson's shadow, reaching for her, beckoning. "Choose, Lisa." The fog shifted, enclosing her in the last moment of clarity. With her heart racing, she realized every choice had a cost, but it would be a price she was willing to pay. "Hold on," she shouted, firm in her resolve. But even as she pushed forward, a blinding flash erupted, dulling her senses. She flinched, then felt a pull of force rushing her backwards. And then silence. Would all she fought for slip away, or would she find a way to clutch her children's hands and break free of the grasping darkness? The fading warmth rendered her helpless, leaving her in obedience to the shadows, ready to swallow her whole. What would it take to tear them from the darkness? And could she hold on this time? The silence wrapped around her like a thick blanket, heavy and suffocating. Lisa strained to hear anything Sarah's voice, Ben's laughter, but only the echo of her own breath filled the emptiness. She blinked, trying to shake off the dizziness from the blinding flash, but the darkness was an oppressive weight, and each moment stretched on like an agonizing eternity. She felt the pulse of the light flickering weakly beneath her skin, a reminder of hope, but it was weak, fading. Panic clawed at her throat as shadows crawled along the ground, thickening and rising, whispering secrets she could not understand. What had happened? Had she chosen wrong? Mom, hurry. Sarah's voice rang out, strange and distant, yet it pushed her onward. She took a shaky breath and fought against the tendrils of despair that lunged around her. The warmth she craved felt just beyond her reach. With a surge of desperation, she plunged forward, feeling the air thicken as if the darkness were alive, pushing back against her. She had to move. It was all she could do. Images of her children flared in her mind, floating like spectral visions in the sinister fog. Each step felt like wading through tar, dragging her down, yet she pressed on. Something crackled in the air, a pulse that resonated in her bones. Mom, please. The urgency lanced through her, stirring a fierce determination within. She stumbled over an unseen root, her feet tangling, but caught herself just before falling. Around her, shadows twisted, dark forms morphing into indistinct shapes. The laughter of Mr. Thompson echoed in her ears, taunting her bravery, blurring her resolve. Just let go, he whispered. It's easier here, but Lisa couldn't comply, not when the very essence of her children's spirits was trapped within. The darkness clawed back, hungry and relentless. She felt its cold breath tickle the back of her neck like a predator stalking its wounded prey. All she needed was to find them, to reach out and hold them tight. Another flash of light, and for a moment, she glimpsed them, Ben and Sarah, standing in a glade, their faces pale, eyes wide and terrified. The glow surrounding them beckoned, thrumming with energy, fighting against the dark. I see you, Lisa cried, joy bursting fiercely in her chest. I'm coming. But the shadows stirred violently, forming a wall of blackness that surged toward her. Mr. Thompson's twisted grin reemerged, his figure towering, obscured by swirling dark smoke. No, they belong with me, he bellowed, his voice a thunderclap that rattled her bones. I want to let you take them, she screamed, throwing her weight against the advancing wall of shadow. It coiled around her, trying to crush her resolve, but she mirrored the fierce love she felt for her children, and suddenly, the air shifted. The flickering glow from the glade pulsed brighter, radiating against the dark and forcing a chasm in its mass. Sarah, Ben, she called, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. Then a blast of cold wind surged from the shadows, knocking her backwards. She fell, scraping her palms on the cold ground, her heart racing as she struggled to regain her footing while the haunting whispers engulfed her. You're too late, Lisa, but then she caught a flicker of color in the air, a thread of hope woven through the darkness. A spark ignited inside her, urging her forward. The faces of her children propelled her with renewed fury. She took a step, then another, reluctant to allow fear to claim victory over her love. Together, she shouted, gripping the energy coursing through her. The darkness hissed, retreating for a brief moment, as if stung. But she knew this was momentary. The shadows eclipsed her once more, but the light was there, a beacon that ignited a flame of courage in her soul. Stand with me, she yelled, pulling from her deepest memories of warmth and laughter. In the heart of fear, she conjured their joy, and the shadows twisted again, warping under the weight of her determination. Now, she hollered, racing toward the glade where her children stood. But before she could reach them, the darkness surged again, tearing at her resolve, pulling her into an abyss. Mom! Their cries echoed, intertwined with the shadows closing in. Would she slip away into the void, forever separated, or could she find the light? And in that agonizing moment, as Lisa felt the world disappear beneath her feet, she realized something vital. Each heartbeat pulsed with an answer waiting to be discovered. What lay beyond the shadows? Would the bond of love be enough to conquer fear, or would it crumble to dust? The darkness enveloped her completely, smothering the flicker of hope. Lisa's breath quickened, the air thin and frigid, as if she was drowning in blackness. Panic surged, clawing at her insides as she grasped at the void surrounding her. Ben. Sarah. Her voice swallowed, lost within the whispers. Dread twisted around her heart, squeezing tightly. Then, an unexpected warmth pulled around her, pulsing like a heartbeat, urging her to trust it. Guided by the sensation, Lisa pushed against the shadows, willing herself back into the light. She stumbled through the murk, heart racing as echoes of laughter flickered in and out of her consciousness. Was it real? Or just a cruel echo of what she'd already lost? Mom. The voices came stronger, echoing in a rhythmic chant. The shadows around her drew closer, twisting and sneering. If she didn't reach her children soon, they would be consumed, just like the others. But amidst her distress, a flicker in the distance caught her eye, an inviting glow pulsing steadily, as if it sensed her intentions. She grabbed onto the warmth, believing in its promise, each heartbeat a chant urging her closer. Her feet found the ground, the earth rising to meet her. She sprinted toward the light, the shadows in hot pursuit, twisting and contorting as they tried to ensnare her. Each step felt like wading through thick mud, but she pressed on, fueled by the jeopardy of her children's cries. "We're almost there," she shouted, her voice steady despite trembling limbs. The glow intensified, and she could see the edges of the glade. Ben and Sarah stood frozen in fear, surrounded by a halo of dancing light. Lisa felt the pull grow stronger, as if their very existence tethered her to this realm. "Just hold on," she cried, reaching out with all her might. Suddenly, the shadows charged, howling threats that chilled her spine. "You have to give in." Mr. Thompson's voice rang out, sinister and mocking. "Join us, Lisa. You can't save them." The darkness clawed at her, wrapping around her ankles, trying to drag her down. "No," she screamed, a primal denial bursting forth. The weight held her back, but she fought harder, drawing strength from deep inside. "I will not lose you," she shouted, channeling every shred of love she had. But just as she broke free of their grasp, the light around her flickered ominously. A chill swept through the glade as shadows slithered closer, shifting in a way that twisted Lisa's stomach. The glow blinked once, and then dimmed, casting an eerie pall over everything. "Mom." Ben's voice quavered, filled with a mix of urgency and fear. Lisa's gaze flicked to the glowing orb, now flickering perilously. The darkness surged, pushing against her like a wave, devouring everything in sight. She surged forward, lungs aching, extending her hand toward her children, who stood petrified at the precipice of despair. "Take my hand," she cried, every ounce of her being ignited with hope. The shadows roared, clawing at her and the children, sinking deeper into malevolence. "Mom." Their hands reached out, trembling. The connection between them sparked faintly, flickering against the encroaching void. Just as she was about to grasp Sarah's fingers, the shadows closed in, a roar of wind swirled, and the world spun wildly. They were almost there, but with a gut-wrenching lurch, a chilling laugh echoed through the void, pulling away the light as it extinguished into darkness. Lisa felt the ground give way beneath her, spiraling downward into an interminable abyss. "No," she screamed, reaching out even as everything faded around her. As the world dissolved into chaos, a shocking realization washed over her: this fight wasn't just for them. It was a battle against an ancient darkness, one that had been waiting, preparing for an invitation to claim more than just her children. Had she awakened it with her desire to save them? Would she be trapped forever, consumed by the very fears she was trying to conquer? The answer hung heavy in the air, lingering like a whisper in the dark. What truly lay at the center of this darkness? And what sacrifices would she need to make to rescue them from its clutches? The void swallowed her whole, and Lisa felt her heart splintering under the weight of despair. She was spiraling into darkness, unyielding shadows gnawing at her resolve. "No," she whispered, clenching her fists. "I refuse to let you win." The screams of her children rang sharp in her mind, igniting a flicker of determination amidst the suffocating dread. "I will find you," she roared, her voice echoing defiantly. It was as if her very rage summoned light, a spark that broke through the oppressive darkness, illuminating the abyss with fleeting flashes of hope. With each heartbeat, memories poured into her. Sarah's laughter, Ben's soft smile, moments of warmth nestled in the chaos of daily life. They were her anchors, each one a tether back to reality. Reaching deep inside, Lisa grasped that feeling of love, of fierce protection, and pulled it into the fore. "I want to let you take them," she vowed, her voice rebounding through the shadows. Suddenly, light burst forth from within her chest, cascading outward like a challenge thrown to the abyss. The shadowy tendrils recoiled, hissing and shrieking as they twisted away from her raw power. "Stay back," she screamed, the light brightening until her surroundings morphed into a swirling mosaic of color. In that moment of clarity, she caught a fleeting glimpse of Ben and Sarah, shrouded in darkness but still connected by shimmering threads of light that seemed to pulse with life. Hope surged, and she pushed forward, desperate to close that distance. The abyss writhed around her, whispering secrets of fear and despair, but Lisa held her ground. Each swirl of shadow carried Mr. Thompson's chilling laughter, his voice coiling around her consciousness. "You think you can save them? They are destined to dissolve into the void." But Lisa only gritted her teeth, focusing on her children. "You don't know me," she shouted. "You don't know my heart." With fierce determination, she surged forward. The glowing light grew brighter as it consumed the darkness, sparks dancing like fireflies around her. "Mom." Ben's voice rang out clearer now, full of emotion, filled with the pull of his trust and connection to her. "We're scared." Sarah's voice quavered, tremulous yet fierce. "We believe in you." Lisa felt their fear wrap around her like rope, tightening, but she used it. With each step, she transformed that fear into strength, pushing through the shadows that lashed out at her. Focusing on her children, she grasped at the threads of light, weaving them together into an unbreakable bond. "Hold on," she shouted, knowing she was drawing closer to them. Tendrils lunged from every direction, and the shadows closed in like a pack of wolves. But with every ounce of willpower, she flared her arms out, unleashing the torrent of light that emanated from within, creating a barrier that shattered their grasp. "I will not falter," Lisa cried, her heart racing as she sprinted through the darkness in that moment. She felt Mr. Thompson's presence intensifying. His form twisted in a mockery of her movement, shadows distorting behind him like snakes ready to strike. "You can't escape this, Lisa. You're too late." "No," she screamed, fear transmuting into defiance. "This is my moment." Light radiated from her very core, spilling forth and breaking through the haze, creating vibrant paths to her children. The darkness shrieked, a cacophony of rage echoing as its tendrils shrunk back from her power. "Mom, we're right here," Ben cried with renewed vigor. "Take our hands, please." Sarah's fear faded as the glow around her pulsed brighter, the connection strengthening like roots intertwining in the soil. In a final surge, Lisa sprinted toward her children. The darkness thrashed about her, desperate, enraged, but she would not waver. Reaching out, their fingers finally touched, the bond igniting into a radiant flare. "Together," Lisa urged, and as they clasped hands, a tidal wave of warmth surged, flooding the space around them in brilliant light. The abyss howled, but felt fragile now. It quivered as the light pulsed stronger, breaking through the black fog, unraveling the sinister grip of Mr. Thompson. Shadows writhed and twisted, screaming as they faded. With one last defiant thrust, the light spilled out, engulfing the darkness in an explosion of brightness. "You're nothing but a nightmare," Lisa shouted as she felt the void collapse around her, the silhouettes of tortured shadows evaporating into nothingness. As light cascaded, the three of them were enveloped in warmth, snatched from the jaws of despair. For one heart-stopping moment, time stood still. The world shifted and bent until they burst through into the stormy night, standing together on the threshold of their home. The storm outside waned into calm, raindrops now a gentle patter, the shadows that had once clutched them replaced by vibrant stars scattered across the sky. Lisa fell to her knees, pulling her children tightly into an embrace. The fear, the horror, it was all gone. They were free. "I thought I lost you," she sobbed, tears of relief streaming down her face. "Never. We're okay," Ben exclaimed, his bright smile flooding her heart with joy. "Together, always," Sarah added, squeezing her mom's hand tightly. In that moment, Nothing could ever break their bond again. They had fought against impossible odds and emerged whole, stronger than ever. As the storm clouds parted, revealing the brilliance above, Lisa whispered a prayer of thanks, knowing they would face life as challenges together, a family bound by love, forged in the darkness, but now illuminated in the light. The abyss may have drawn them in, but love had lit the way home. Subscribe immediately so you don't miss more heart-pounding tales like this. Smash that like button now to help spread the word and feed the algorithm. Flood the comments with your reactions and theories about this epic conclusion. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this conclusion. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through your actions. It's time to unite and celebrate these stories.